Hello and welcome to episode 353 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now joining me on today's episode is the vocalist AJ Perdomo from the incredible band The Dangerous Summer. This is one of my favourite interviews I've done in ages. The guy's an absolute legend, really chilled, really laid back, but my god, he knows how to write a song. The Dangerous Summer, as you're listening to this, have just released a brand new album. It's called Gravity. And you think I might get paid for this, but I don't. The truth is, it's all honesty. And this album is unbelievable. It's blown me away. I'm not going to sit here and say I've been a fan of The Dangerous Summer for years, because I've only actually just discovered them through Mark and Me. So getting them on the podcast was then my chance to find out more about them, and I've been listening to this album, Gravity, for the last couple of weeks. I got to see them at Slam Dunk, and they're just unbelievable. And I can't wait to see them on their UK tour later in the year. They're just honestly one of the bands you need to see. And the interview with me and AJ will be coming up in just a few minutes' time. But before I get there, my last episode was actually a two-parter. It was recorded backstage at the Slam Dunk Music Festival, and honestly, I had an absolute blast. I've seen so many of the bands that have been on the episodes sharing it, which is unbelievable. I'm so grateful for that because it brings a hell of a lot of traffic. But also I had a great time myself recording the interviews. I had so much fun backstage, and honestly now I can't wait to do Download, 2000 Trees, Arc Tangent, Reading and Leeds. There's so much stuff coming up, and I'll be recording interviews at all of those festivals. But let's get back to today's episode because it's hell of a great interview and I absolutely love The Dangerous Summer. So I think the best thing to do is to get straight to it. Here's me and AJ talking all things music. So AJ, thank you for joining me today on the Mark and Me podcast.
Thank you for having me, man. It's exciting to be on here. I heard the list. I heard all the incredible guests you have. It's an honor to be here.
AJ, what I love to do with everyone that comes on the podcast is take it right back to the very early days. And I'm talking when you're a kid. Can you remember that first album maybe you saved up with your pocket money, or a friend or a family member gave you an album and you just fell in love with music? You just knew that was all you wanted to do.
Yeah, man. I think my first kind of CD I got was Green Day Dookie, man. That changed everything for me. I remember my parents were really cool about music, where on my birthday I could go to the CD store and pick a few CDs, and that was kind of like my birthday gift. So I remember getting Green Day Dookie, 311, I forget what that album's called, and man, No Doubt was a really incredible album back then. And yeah, I was like probably 5 or 6 years old, and that was like the magic. It was like, wow, there's something here that's just so magical. And I remember back in those days too, just listening to the radio and having tapes and recording tapes from the radio because you wanted to hear your favorite songs. It definitely was a different generation of music. I feel like the power of an album back then was incredible. You only had a couple choices, one or two choices at the CD store, and you lived with that album hard. So when I got that Green Day Dookie, man, listening to it probably a million times, like you just play it on repeat, and yeah, man, Green Day changed my life. Truly opened me up to punk rock. It was like the first mainstream thing, which later entered into little segments. I started finding out the bands they listened to, and it spiraled from there.
I mean, it's an incredible journey to go on. And so I'm 42 years old, and it blows my mind because what I do on every episode is I shoehorn talking about Green Day Dookie, because my first ever gig was Green Day on their Dookie tour.
Oh my God. Wow. That is
Yeah, so
incredible.
when you mentioned Dookie, then I'm like, fuck yeah, I can now talk about Dookie. But that album
Yeah.
changed my life. Like turning on MTV and watching the video for When I Come Around, just then walking around the street, really casual. But I was like,
Yeah.
how is there three people making this noise? Like, it's fucking awesome. It's so tight. The bass line sounds so full. I absolutely love the guitar tones, and that was me changed forever. Like, I was like, that led me to Smashing Pumpkins, to bands like Bush, Silverchair, Deftones, Pearl
Yeah.
Jam, and it just opened my eyes up to how great music can be. But I wondered, what an incredible start, but where did it go, like the live music with you? What was your first show that you remember going to, or one of the early ones that made you realize that music isn't just a tape or isn't just on the radio? It's actually something that you can feel in your bones in a whole room full of people.
Man, that is a hard one. I mean, man, yeah, I went to see Tom Petty at one point with my parents, and that kind of changed my
So
life. That was
fucking jealous, man.
unreal.
Like, me and my
Yeah.
friend had a ticket to see him in London, and I didn't go because I think I had a friend's wedding, and I said to myself, like I really can't get out of this. And it was at Hyde Park, and
Oh man, that
I
would have been
missed it. I
incredible.
fucking missed it. And then a year later, he died, and he's probably, I'd say, with
Damn.
Jeff Buckley, my favorite songwriter of all time. So I'm absolutely fucking gutted, and I'll never put someone's wedding before a gig anymore.
Oh my God, that's so funny. What a statement. I love that. No, but it is so true, man. Like, and especially COVID taught us, like, hey, you can't miss those gigs because one day it could all be turned off, and you don't have it anymore. It's they go by these shows, these memorable shows. It's like every year, the great artists can only tour so much. It's like one time you probably see them every year or two, if you're lucky, and then it all goes away. But yeah, Tom Petty, man, he's a journeyman. I mean, he's an inspiration to me. I respect those rebels, those people that they're on their own path. They carve their own existence, and it's not about anything else. He's not trying to make good music for people. He's trying to make the best music he loves, and he's on a forever search. He found some incredible ground out there.
Unbelievable. I'm so jealous. But I mean, where did it go from there? I mean, what point was it that you thought, I want to do that. I want to be in a band. I want to, that's all I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's funny. Like, I took piano lessons as a kid, but then my mom's boyfriend at one point taught me how to play a Green Day song, and then I started playing actual bass. And then that was around the time I was getting into like kind of the more punk rock sect of music. And I remember seeing like Real Big Fish and Catch 22. Like I was kind of into like a really big ska phase. And I remember going to see them and I was like, wow, there's only like 500 people here, and then you start to go to these smaller shows where there's like 100 people and you're like, wow, like I can actually talk to these people. Like I think when you get really into like the punk rock world, you start to see that wow, there's not many people here. I can actually like be a part of this. It's so tiny where you can imagine yourself doing it, and you start to meet the bands and they say, "Oh, hey, it's easy. You just go play shows, And I really loved this band called The Matches, and seeing them, they kind of, would talk to me about that. They'd say, hey, like, it's so easy. Go find your local VFW hall that's doing punk rock shows and go try to play a show. Like, I think the accessibility, it almost is unreal when you're looking at a band like Green Day, but then when you start, really honing in on these little scenes, you can see yourself being a part of it. I think that was a very good gateway, getting into it.
Where did you kind of become mentally aware that it could become a reality? Because obviously everyone always dreams of being in a band, going out there, selling out shows. But you guys have worked at it for a long time. Was there a turning point when you actually felt inside, like, actually, it now feels to me like it's become a reality? It's not just these small gigs where mates are coming and, you're getting your friends on there to going to buy tickets or doing the Battle of the Bands thing. Because didn't you guys
Yeah.
start like at like school age that you were like playing together?
Yeah, and it's actually really crazy. Like we're like a really lucky story. So yeah, we were doing just like, local coffee shop gigs in high school at the very beginning. But then we started the Dangerous Summer at senior year of high school, so last year of high school, and like in August, and we wrote these songs like The Permanent Rain and everything. And actually, All Time Low lived, 30 minutes away. They were like the other local band, and I think we met them at like a gas station, oddly enough. We're like, hey, like check out our band, and they're like, holy shit, you guys are actually good. Well, we just signed to Hopeless Records. We're gonna get you guys signed to Hopeless Records too, and we're like, no fucking way. So we got signed like literally like February of our senior year. Like our parents were on the calls with the labels, and it was like, they opened that door for us where it's like, holy shit, like we're gonna get a record deal. And when you're like, nowadays I'm like, fuck the record labels. But back in the day, it's like that is everything. Wow, I could get a record deal. That it feels like you won the lottery, you won $1 million, like to have someone give you attention enough to give you a deal. It is incredible. So that was like a very big turning point in that. And then from there, it's like, okay, well, now we got to go on tour and we got to do this thing. And then you start to realize, hey, like, a record deal really only helps you make a record.
Yeah.
It's not going to guarantee fans. I mean, we started playing shows and we're like, wow, no one's here, so it's just like then reality set in and it's like, okay, this is what the journey is going to be like. It's going to still be like the endless fight to the end. And it still is. I mean, you chase the dragon your whole life. You're just, you want more and more, and you're just doing everything you can, pouring everything you can into it. And you're just trying to make a living doing it as successful as you can.
Do you get chance to ever take a step back and see how far you've come? I know you're always chasing the dragon. You want to be on the biggest stage, on the biggest posters, at the biggest festivals. But do you ever kind of get time to reflect and say, well, actually, fucking hell, like since school, we've come a long way. Like our gigs are getting bigger. People
Oh,
are
yeah.
listening. Our download and streaming numbers are getting within millions now. Like, do you get time to ever really digest and reflect on those things?
Yeah, and actually, I had an incredible reflective period. So we broke up for like 4 or 5 years in the middle of our long like 17-year journey. We had like, kind of a crazy band situation, like, a guitarist that really effed a lot of stuff up for us, and just the trials of everything. I had my daughter, so I was like, hey, I need to go home. I need to take care of life. I can't do this right now. And it's almost like I always say, when you're able to die and then come back to life again. We broke up, and in 2018 we picked it back up and made a full length again. And it really gave the deepest appreciation for everything that it is. Like I think when it's taken away from you, you really, really are like, wow, it's, going back to reality. It's like you can't, this is kind of everything in your soul, everything inside of you. So that was a big reflective period. And yeah, it's like I have a much, much deeper appreciation for it now, and what it is. And like sometimes people come out on tour, even like crew wise and stuff, and you can tell they don't know what it is. It's a very mystical thing being a musician, and it's like you're dealing with this like magical situation. So it's like you really have to have an appreciation for it and know it, because lots of times you don't see it until a little bit later, So we really have a deep appreciation now, and just being able to do it every day is incredible. We love it so much, and yeah, it is like it's not a trying to get the biggest stuff thing. It's really much bigger than that. Yeah.
How does it feel right now with new music out there? Only a couple of days away from Slam Dunk Festival, which for me is one of the best festivals in the UK. The lineup is just unbelievable every year.
I know, man. Yeah.
You must be
Oh
feeling
man.
pretty awesome and excited.
Yeah, man, I'm so excited when we heard the slam night, because man, it's like we played in 2011, 2018, and we kept being like, we want to go back, please, please. But it's like it's become one of the hardest festivals to get, and it's like I almost was like, man, I don't know if they're gonna ask us again because there's just so many great bands, so many incredible bands. I'm sure every agent, every manager is like, please, please, please get us on this. And it's such a cool scene. And I always tell people in America, like the slam dunk version, the UK version of pop punk or, whatever the scene is called is really cool, man. They really curate it. I think this year's lineup is incredible. I like how they touched the punk, they touched the, more hardcore, and then they touched the yeah, like super pop punk stuff. So they really the UK version of like this scene is so great. It's so fucking incredible. I love it so much. It almost like throws back to like the Warp Tour days in
Yeah, it
America, like
does.
yeah.
Do you get much time at these festivals to enjoy yourself and not just have to get in and out? Can you go and see like Head Automatica and Yumi at Six and stuff? Can you go and check these bands out while you're there?
Oh yeah, and honestly, it's funny. Like it's really like the main thing. Like it's like we're such fans, and we're such like when we played in 2018. Man, I had the best time of my life, and just being able to hang out with these bands. Like I remember hanging out with Taking Back Sunday, just shooting the shit, and hanging out with Say Anything. And actually, Max Bemis from Say Anything ended up on our album because of the time we spent at Slam Dunk. And our tour manager was like, Leeds is really far. Like, we have a 9 a.m. load in on Sunday after the Hatfield. I said, well, hey, man, I want to stay until the very end. I want to hang out with all the bands. That's important to me. So let's just try to do everything we can to stay and enjoy. And the most incredible thing, too, we're opening main stage. We're going to be done. We have press right after that. And then I have, an 8 hour day of watching bands. And I'm just like a little kid, man. I can't wait to see all these people, Wonder Years and although actually, I think they clash with Yumi at six. There's a lot of clashes.
There
I'm
is.
really excited to
Yep.
see like Mallory Knox, but man, the Blackout's playing, and it's just like whoa, like it gets hard, But I'm gonna be running around and hanging out with everybody and really enjoying it truly.
I'm a good friend of Sean, and I know he went on the Sapling podcast, and I have to go and watch the Blackout. I love Mallory Knox, but Sean is one of the nicest guys in the business, so I can't wait to go and see the Blackout.
Yeah, I actually just did his podcast a few weeks ago. He
Yeah,
is
he's a good
the
guy.
best.
Yeah,
So funny too, man. He's just the fucking riot, man. I love him.
he is, and he never stops. So even when you're talking to him normally, he's not like putting a show on for the podcast. He's so sincere and so genuine, and I absolutely love the guy. So there's no rivalry with podcasts here, and me and the guys from Sapling are good friends, and we'll be there this weekend. So I'm sure at some point
Cool.
I'll see you and say hello.
Yeah, I'll see you in the pit at the Blackout, man. We'll be ripping.
That'll be awesome. So you're not that far away now from the new album. As we're sitting here, I mean, this I'll release this just after Slam Dunk, so we can talk about your set and how well it went down. But as we're sitting here right now, Gravity's out in June, and that's not far away, man.
Yeah, yeah, man. It feels really surreal. I mean, we've been sitting on this album for a long time. We kind of it's funny because we were actually in the studio making Gravity is our last album coming home was coming out. And our label didn't like that. They were like, "Hey, like, you have an album coming out right now. Why are you making another album?" And we're so obsessed with making music. We like drives us crazy, like I just if I'm at home, like what am I gonna do? Just sit around and watch TV? Like I'm making a new album. So uh it's funny because they were like, okay, well, hey, if we're gonna do this next album, they just kept trying to let us wait until the last albums, had it ran its course until we could release Gravity. So we've been sitting on it for like a year and a half, and it's a weird time period because you're like, okay, yeah, I we gave it our all. We gave it our all. Like, is it good? You don't get the reaction, and music has this very weird thing when it comes out, it's like it takes on a new life, and as these singles started to come out, it's like you can feel this energy. You can feel the songs start to change and grow and turn into something that's really special. And even, we've been playing the single Gravity live and here in the UK, and people are like screaming that one. I'm like, wow, you guys are really appreciating the new music. It's really cool to feel it, to see it, and it's like to get the feedback finally. We're entertainers. We need the applause to realize, okay, cool, we did an okay job. It's everything's gonna be all right.
Does it feel frustrating that you have sat on this for 18 months? Because for the fans, it's new, it's exciting. It's like, oh wow, Gravity the song, it's only just started to be played live. But 18 months is a long time. I mean, you've probably already started to write the follow up to this already.
Man, I mean, actually, we didn't start doing that this time because, yeah, I do feel like the universe kind of tells us where we need to be. We almost decided to go back in the studio, but we kind of held off, and I think for a reason. It's kind of like everything really does. The universe kind of like dictates you. It's wild. It's like everything kind of happens for a reason. So it feels new. It feels like it's happening again. It feels great again. It's like almost like the songs weren't even the songs until now. Like now Gravity is actually Gravity. Now, Pacific Ocean that came out yesterday is Pacific Ocean now, and the fans are really digesting it. And I don't know. It's just so strange the way they kind of take shape. Like that, you really start to see what they are and what they will be to our band. And I think the audience kind of proclaims, and they're in the comments saying, "Wow, this is the next great record. You guys didn't fail us." And I do feel like we got some criticism on our last record. Our last record, people were like, "Yeah, it was all right." Like we got a little bit of love from it, but I think like if it was a Yelp review, they'd say there's a lot to be desired here. So like so it's nice to get fans back on board. A lot of the comments are, we're back. And I'm like, okay, cool, I get it. Like, and I'm not gonna hate on that. Like, and that's the thing with music too. It's like, man, we speak from our heart, we speak honestly, we give it our all. And you know, sometimes people can't meet you there. Sometimes you're in a different place than they are, and I totally understand that. But people are really excited, they're really hyped on this, and it makes you happy. It does get you pumped up.
How's the UK shows gone so far with introducing new songs into the set list? Is it exciting as a band to not have to keep playing the old ones again and again? Are you like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's get as much of this album as we can into the set list?
I mean, that's the thing is like I'm kind of like as an entertainer, I'm always like trying to curate the best sellers, and our label was like, we have a video guy out with us. So they're like, hey, can you play all four singles? Because we have another single coming out as the album comes out next month. They're
Yeah.
like, can you play all four singles so that we can get video of it? And I've been kind of apologizing to the crowd. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, we got to play four of the new ones. I feel bad because, like, I always have a thing where I'm like, I hate to play music for people that maybe they haven't heard yet. Like if I go to a show, like if I'm seeing a band, I like to know the words. Like it's a little less exciting to see a band if you don't know the words. Like so as an entertainer, I'm kind of like almost like a stand-up comedy routine. I want them to laugh. I want them to, like sing. I want them to have fun. So it's been almost hard to play too many of them, but man, like Gravity goes off so well, and What's an Hour Really Worth goes off so well. And as people are starting to learn Pacific Ocean, I think that is I actually love playing that one live in general, but I would probably cut the fourth single if they're up to me and play another old one. And that's the thing is I love playing the old ones. And even like, man, the Permanent Rain, we've never played a show where we haven't played our biggest song, the Permanent Rain. And there's a magic to that song. Like I get off on seeing the fans sing along and be touched, and whatever songs to them, like I feed off that energy. That's the energy that I want to give out. So I would love to always play the most curated for the fans set list, and that's always the goal. Like how can we get everyone the most excited, hit their ideal set list? Truly, like, yeah, none of them are paying to play. Like we love playing all of them, truly.
And playing with Cold Years, I've just had them on the podcast only a couple of weeks ago. Genuinely one of the best British bands out there.
Man, they are so good, man. And what I love about them, man, they really bring the punk rock. They keep that punk rock feeling to them. And actually, we went out drinking with them last night. It was like the only night they could really hang. They're like, okay, we're gonna go party tonight, and man, just Scottish boys, incredible. Like they truly, man, they truly believe in what they do. And talking to music with them, they've got great taste and incredible stories and whatnot. Like they've done some wild shit, man. I love them so much, and it's sad it's an only 4 day run, but I think we'll be seeing them again soon.
What was it like then when you were going out and you were thinking, oh, fuck, I've got to be up at 11 a.m. tomorrow for a fucking podcast?
Oh man, dude, it was a little. I've been getting a little sick, but I think I'm getting better. Like last night's show, I didn't think I was gonna sing last night, but man, when you stand in front of an audience, it's incredible what happens. So I ripped it. I got some more sleep last night, got some rest, and waking up this morning, it wasn't bad. I was ready. I'm ready for it.
And how's managing your life now with the work-life balance? Because doing the band is in your blood. It's what you do. It's where you're at. But obviously, you're a father, aren't you now?
Yeah, oh yeah. So yeah, I have a 10-year-old, and it is hard. And I think I'm even in like a more existential part of my life where I really try to focus on the life balance of it,
Yeah.
and really, yeah, with making records. I mean, we made this album Gravity, and I think I sing about it a lot in the album where it's like is it worth it when I'm going into the studio for 7 weeks and I don't leave the studio, I don't go home at all. I'm working, I'm working, and the people around you, like, they need you. And I think during the album they were calling out to me to say, come back, come back, come back to us, we kind of need you right now. And it is hard, like, and it's hard. I think I'm at a point, especially after this last record, where I really want to start finding the best way to live the work life balance. I think I wasn't doing as much of the life, doing a lot of the work, and I think I need to be easier on myself, and kind of treat it differently. Because yeah, years go by, years go by, and my daughter's growing up, and I think just more concentrated touring, figure out, hey, I like doing these shorter tours. I mean, like, hey, we come out to UK for a week, and then we're doing a US tour. Hey, it's a month, and then we're going to Germany for a week. Like I think big breaks in the middle of stuff and just kind of spread it out in short bursts is kind of what I'm starting to head towards, so that, hey, like, I don't miss, you know, the big moments in life, like, and not even get too heavy. But right now my dog is about to pass away at home, and I'm like, hopefully I can get home and say goodbye to her and whatnot. And you miss these things, you miss birthdays, you miss vacations with family, you miss all this stuff. And sometimes you're like, there's this audience out there that's calling me. They want me there. They need me there. They tell me I'm an inspiration there. And that's why I related it to like the astronaut. We made a music video about the astronaut going to space, and the world's cheering him on, but it's like it's lonely out there. It is lonely out there. And so yeah, trying to figure out that balance. It's like, what is it all worth? At the end of the day, when we die, will I say, man, I'm glad I did all that instead of all that? So I think I'm really at an existential place where I'm finding it, and I'm really focusing on home life and how to balance it. It is a challenge. It's really hard. So, but I'm
I
at a
I
point
um
where, yeah.
I kind of struggle and I'm not on your level of having to go to like America for a month or flying to the U. I'm not like that level. But I
Yeah,
used to say yes to everything. I didn't want to miss out. I had that fear of missing out on parties and events
yeah,
and always being seen. And it was like an attention, I think. It was like after doing counseling, I've realized I was always kind of seeking just to make sure that I was included and not being left out. But
yeah,
there's sometimes nothing better now than being left out. And I will look at my schedule for the festival season and be like, like, is there any way I can try and not do that day so I can come home and be with my wife? And we've got two dogs
yeah,
that are my absolute world. My dogs. When you said about your dog, my heart breaks because
yeah.
I've got two 16-year-old dogs and they're incredible and they're my
Oh
life.
man,
They're like
yeah.
my daughters. And
That's incredible. Though, 16 years. Wow,
yeah, they're
that is
little. They've got
awesome.
like a Yorkshire Terrier and a Jack Russell. So they're still
Wow.
full of life. We go to the fields and throw
Yeah,
balls, and it's like they're puppies. But I can't even start to think about times away from them. And I feel the older I get, I'm more sacred of my time. So it's really nice to hear you're kind of on the same page. I'm so eager just to sometimes. I'm like slam dunk. I'm like, it's 2 days. I'm like, can I do it all in one day so I can at least spend the
yeah.
time with my girls on the Sunday?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Even like, man, we got asked to do a festival like in a couple weeks before our US tour. And I'm like, man, I only have 2 weeks at home in between this and that. Like it's just not even worth it, like to fly for a date. Like I'm gonna go see my daughter and hang out with her. And yeah, it's like, yeah, you gotta say no sometimes, and especially for the ones you love. It's like, it's just it's not worth it. It's like these are the people that make you happy. And I think happiness is also important to your work. I think, like living is the best thing for my work. It makes me better at what I do, and it makes me have longevity if I can breathe and live.
I hear it all, man, and I respect you for getting that balance because you don't get second chances. You don't get those times again. Your daughter's only going to go to the prom for the first time. She's only going to have this birthday the first time. So you don't want to look back in 20 years and be like, well, we did an extra 10 festivals and got 10
I
more,
know.
2,000 extra vinyl sales. It means fuck all when you're not,
Yeah.
at home. So it's nice, man. I hear too many bands that have done it and then regret it and can't change time.
Exactly. Yeah. I was saying to my girlfriend, I was like, I don't want her to turn into an asshole. Like it's up to me at this point. It's like I'm either there, or I'm not. So I need to be there. I need to be the father for her. So it's super important to me.
With your upcoming album Gravity, the cover is really beautiful and it instantly made me think of Interstellar. The
Oh hell
Christopher
yeah.
Nolan film, and I was wondering if you took any inspiration from this kind of sci-fi space kind of era, because I know you're just talking about an astronaut being out in the real world and discovering everything else, but the image is very, very kind of, it could be a movie poster. It seems very kind of cinematic.
Yeah, well, really, what's incredible, like, man, when we make albums, we know so many incredible artists and photographers and just so many great people. And it's always like really hard. We try not to even jump the gun. I say just wait for it. Like the art always comes to us. Like it finds its way to us every single time. Like the universe always gives us something. So we waited it out, and my good friend in Australia is an incredible photographer, and he started doing this series of this like lonely astronaut in different settings. And I do think he was very inspired by Interstellar with the water and everything. Incredible, like, and so really, like, I can't even take credit for the idea of it, but when I saw it, it was like, wow, this is the album cover. I hit him up immediately. Like, he just started posting some of this stuff on Instagram, and I was like, dude, we found it. Like, whatever it takes to get your work on our album, it just totally captured everything that it is. And in the picture, the astronaut has a surfboard in his arm, and it's like, I feel like that, just like this like cosmic surfer just out there all alone, just riding the waves of it. And just it just holds such like a feeling of discovery and wonder and magic inside of it. So it inspired me, and yeah, the art kind of came to me. So yeah, Daniel Anderson, shout out, incredible
Unbelievable.
photographer.
Yeah, absolutely
Yeah,
unbelievable. And it's one of those albums that as soon as it's printed on the vinyl, it just stands out. It's like, I don't know,
yeah.
it speaks to you. And then you see all the variants you've got and these incredible different vinyls. But you just see an image for an album and you're like, that's iconic. Instantly, it's like that could look good in 20 years, 50 years. It just looks timeless.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And that is a great way to put it. I love to hear that it looks timeless. Like that is always the mark, isn't it? If you can make it just stand the test of time, that's like music too. If you can feel like this song could be released 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or 20 years in the future, I mean that's the goal.
What do you kind of see as the future for the band? Obviously, you never stop writing. It's in your blood. It's what you'll always do. Um, you've got the shows, you've got the tour, but have you got any kind of you know moments left to tick off that you think I still haven't achieved yet? I know the dream would be to come and headline Slam Dunk or sell 10 million albums and get to, you know, be the biggest band in the world. But have you got like stuff that collaborations or artists you want to work with or certain things you want to do personally that you haven't achieved yet?
Man, yeah, it would be incredible to work with so many people. Man, one of my favorite bands, Kings of Leon. I'd love to just meet them, tour with them. Like, yeah, like I think about my favorite artists, The National, Taylor Swift. Like, if you could start to like kind of sit at the table up there and like kind of mingle with those people and try to like, I don't know, like, yeah, it is always like, do people collaborate? Like, it'd be cool to, yeah, collaborate with some of those people, but really, just yeah, I think, man, my big goal in this is really longevity and really just being. I want to be part of the history. When people just talk about what happened, they say, "Oh, the Danish Summer had a little piece in there." Like I just want a little line or credit saying, "Man, they had a voice." I think just to make a little splash of this big, it's like a giant thing, a giant painting, but if we could be the little like boat in the background that, makes a little tiny mark on it, I'd love that, like, and again, it's not even about, yeah, like getting big or anything. Like I feel like like it's hard to imagine. I just want to be doing this when I'm like 80 years old still, like I want to be making an album until I die, and just longevity. I don't want to go back to the other side, like all my friends in bands where it's like they break up, it's like, oh man, just try to push. Like, you really want to go back to that world, like the real world? Like, what would you do? Like, what would I do if I didn't do music? Like, I think the main goal is just staying, and like if I can make $40,000 a year for the rest of my life, I'll be fine. Like I just want to do it and make enough money to survive, and I think that's the true goal, is just standing the test of time, and yeah, having a little voice inside there and inside that big thing.
I've obviously only met you today, but I already know, and I get this from doing interviews all day, every day, but I get that it's in your blood that you wouldn't do anything else. I know you do the video and music production um, for Molly Water Music. I know that you've got other side projects and you're kind of dipping in and out of other music projects, but I don't think you'll ever stop playing. I don't think you'll ever stop with a pen and paper writing ideas and songs. And I think you will genuinely do that till the day you die.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, man, like I said earlier, being able to die and rise again, it's like, dude, I don't want to die again. Like, man, I'm gonna ride this out. I know what it's worth. I know my joy from it. It's like everything. Like that is what will keep me happy for the rest of my life. And that's all that matters, truly.
What I do on the podcast before I go, and I've done this with every guest that's ever been on, and I am going to put you on the spot, but
Hell
as
yeah.
the interview's all edited and ready for the world to listen to, at the end you get to choose the song that's played. Now it can be any song by any band in the entire catalogue of music history. But when I
Wow.
asked the question, I know at the moment your head's spinning and there might be 10,000 songs and now trying to whittle it down. But for some reason, when I ask the question, it happens to everyone. There will be one that comes to your heart and soul before any other. And I just wondered, when I asked you the question, was there a song that you felt was the song that should be now played out after we've spoken today?
Wow.
Talk about putting you
Whoa.
on the spot, dude.
I know, I like it though. Man, it's funny when you say, yeah, of all music. I'm like, whoa, like of all music, like what is the one song, man? Oh, dude. Wow.
You'll change as well. You'll be lying in bed tonight and be like, how the fuck did I not think of this? Or why did I not say this song? But there's something about capturing it in real time on the episode. And some people have picked
Yeah.
really rare B-sides or just a piece of music from a film. Someone's just picked an amazing song they grew up with or, a song that changed their life. But there must be a reason why one song came to the surface before the others. And I wonder in your head right now if there's one or two that are just starting to come through.
Wow. Okay. I mean, like when I think about it, I think about my top songs ever. Like I've kind of a list of, I say, the best songs ever written, and I'm gonna throw a wild card in there because this is like, I think, one of my favorite songs. And when I think about my daughter, I think about this Leanne Womack. I hope you dance. I hope you dance by Leanne Womack. Like it's just inspirational. And I think like when I want to show people music, I want to inspire. And I think really just listen to the lyrics and get deep into it. And I will say that the other two songs on my top list, I will say Boys of Summer by Don Henley and Mr. Brightside by The Killers. Those are three of the best songs ever written. But yeah, I Hope You Dance by Leanne Womack.
Amazing, man. I mean, genuinely, it's a pleasure to speak to you today, dude. And I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast. And what's really fucking cool is in 2 days' time, you'll be doing press and I'll be in the same tent. So I'll come and say hello and shake your hand and introduce myself because you're opening up the whole fucking main stage, which is amazing. And I'm getting there like 9 a.m. to start setting up. So I'm going to come and watch your whole set and then I'll come and say hello.
Dude, means the world, man. And thank you so much. Fucking incredible, man. I loved being on this podcast. Like, you ask great questions. It's fun to just talk, man. Like, talk about this. So thank you so much.
So there it is. There's my interview with me and AJ. What a great guy. So chilled, so laid back, and so easy to talk to. I can't wait to record more with him in person, hopefully later on in the year. This for me is one of my favourite bands now, and I really have been listening to the band non-stop, and I urge you to go and do it. The album, as I said, is out right now. Go and listen to Gravity. It's so good. It's literally an album full of singles, so many sing-along choruses, so many great melodies, and just an amazing, amazing piece of work. As always, guys, if you've enjoyed today's episode, please go and share it. You can do this on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and all the links are on markandme.com. If you want to support the podcast that little bit extra, why not hop on to markandme.com, click the Patreon link, sign up and get yourself exclusive episodes, a welcome pack, stickers, badges, and so much more. All the money that you help me out on Patreon goes right back into the podcast, and genuinely, it's the only way I can afford to keep this thing going. I'm doing so many festivals, so many face-to-face interviews, and all this requires petrol, hotels, travelling, but also the podcast itself costs a lot of money to host on all these different directories. So all the money that comes in on Patreon goes right back into the podcast and basically gives you guys more episodes at home. So I really do appreciate any support. Before I go, let's give a quick shout out to the sponsor of the podcast, Richer Sounds. Without those guys, genuinely, I couldn't keep this going. If you really are in the market for a home cinema surround sound system, TV, Blu-ray player, or whatever you want in audio and visual, please go on richersounds.com or visit any of their stores across the UK. Right, I'll be back in only a few days' time with another brand new episode, and genuinely, this one is going to be absolutely huge. It's a band that I've loved for over 20 years. but I'm not going to give you any more clues. I'm going to say thank you for listening today. Look after yourself, take care, and I'll speak to you all very soon.
May you never take one single breath for granted. God forbid love ever leave you empty-handed. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you never fear those mountains in the distance. Never settle for the path of least resistance. Living might mean taking chances, but they're worth taking. Loving might be a mistake, but it's worth making. Don't let some helping heart leave you bitter. When you come close to selling out, reconsider. Give the heavens above more than just a passing glance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance.
Is a wheel in constant motion.
I hope you dance.
So long.
I hope
Tell
you
me who
dance.
wants to look back on their years and
I hope
wonder
you
where those
dance.
years have gone.
I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance,